I'm Teresa Greco, the host of the Happy Hour, where we talk about the things that can help us to live our happiest lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, today on the show, I have an amazing woman that I can't wait for her to introduce herself to all of you. Her name is Elvira Hopper. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Teresa. It's so great to finally meet you in person, and I love your studio. It's fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. So please share with everybody the amazing things that you do and all that you are. We would love to learn more about you.
Thank you. So I am a coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a business coach. I'm a purpose coach. So I was somebody that lived out of alignment for most of my life, and I'll tell you that story in a few minutes. And I was ready to die at rock bottom. I didn't want to live anymore because I lived so out of alignment. I was an imposter. I was living to please my dad, to look good to society. I wore so many ego masks that just kept me moving forward. And I looked happy. I had the big smile, but on the inside I was dying. And so I was able to have a breakdown and a breakthrough, and that breakthrough has now become the foundation of a global movement. And I have a team, an amazing team of people that facilitate this work. And I live and breathe it every day. And so I am truly not one thing. I'm all the things, that light me up, that make me happy. I always tell my team, my clients, my audiences, if it ain't in your JPG, it ain't your job. And what does JPG stand for? Joy, passion, and genius. That's the only things that we should be doing. Yes, of course, sometimes we're going to have to do things we don't like. But if you can create a life that you love, a happy life, one that you can offset the things that you don't like to someone who loves to do those things. Like, for example, I actually manifested my husband losing his corporate job because I needed him to help me take my company to the next level. There was no way I was going to do the back end of my business. I don't enjoy things like invoicing and bookkeeping and taxes and yada, yada, yada. So he takes care of all the back end stuff. He's really good at it. It's in his JPG zone. So I do what I'm great at. I do the speaking, the coaching, I'm also a jewelry designer. I'm a late blooming jazz artist. I'll tell you the story in a second. There's my album in case people don't believe me. And, and I run, a few different levels of global movements as well. So I'll share more about that. So it's about becoming all of yourself. Like that is what saved my life at rock bottom. Is I wasn't allowed to be me, and then lived out of alignment up until my mid to late 40s. Then I had the breakdown and the breakthrough. Some people call that like a midlife crisis. I'm sure that's what it was. So yeah, we all come to this inner work in our own unique way, and some people will never come to it. But it saved my life. So now I'm the mouthpiece for it. I'm the advocate for it. So I wear a few hats, and none of it is work. Everything brings me joy. And I want people to create a life that is in their JPG zone as well. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I'd love for you to clarify, when you say living in alignment, what does that actually mean?
Yeah. So living in alignment is living as you share the gifts you were given. We all have gifts, right? Some people hide their gifts because they were told they have to be a certain thing. For example, my highest level coaching program is called All of You. And the tagline is, why be part of you when you can be all of you? And I have a little tagline I can sing. Actually, I have a little song that goes along with it. Ask me about that later if you want. But it's really about helping people. This is the highest level of my coaching business. It's a multi-six-figure coaching program for ultra high net worth individuals that are at risk of dying with their real music still in them, because they're living out of alignment. They're doing that, maybe that one thing that got them rich or famous or whatever. Maybe they're, engineers, doctors, dentists, celebrities even, that are just doing that one thing that got them, the attention, the money, the success. But guess what? There may be more in store that's burning a hole in their soul. And my father, he could sing like Pavarotti, but he never did anything with his voice. And sadly, he died with his real music still in him. I want to prevent those tragedies. So this is why I believe we need to live in alignment with all of our gifts and do them. Because not only are we happier, we're healthier, we're wealthier, we have better relationships. And most importantly, I believe the world gets what we got. I don't have my dad's album. He would have made an incredible album. But you know what? My kiddo's going to get my album. When I'm gone one day, he's got my music. I'm not dying with my real music in me. So I'm a huge advocate for that.
Now, so if I think of the individuals that you just mentioned who look like they have all the things, right? They have the success and they have the money and their life also, like mine, checks off all the boxes. How can we know that we're not completely in alignment? Because you think, well, my life looks perfect, right?
Looks perfect. Yes.
So how do we know? How can we identify if we're not actually living like all aspects of ourselves, that there are gifts that maybe we haven't yet discovered, or because we're just following the rules of just, what society and culture and family and religion say, oh yeah, this is what you do. You get up, you go to work, you eat, sleep, repeat. So how are we supposed to know that there's something inside us that we haven't yet brought forth?
So it's how you feel. Like, are you really happy? Like, other than putting on, I was a big drug rep. I was a drug rep in big pharma for 20 years. And before that, I worked 7 years in cancer research at Princess Margaret Hospital. And both of those two careers looked very shiny. And I looked very happy because I was making good money and I was going on trips and I was going out and, I had lots of money to throw around. So it looked successful, right? But on the inside, I struggled. I was bullied. I had eating disorders. I had depression. I had anxiety. I had panic attacks. I had bipolar. My marriage nearly ended 3 different times. These are pretty key indicators that you're living out of alignment.
Right? Yeah. And it's interesting that on the outside, it all looks perfect, right? That with my previous guest, we were talking about how social media looks actually more like Facebook than it is Facebook, right? Because, we have these curated stories and polished identities that make it look like, oh, everybo's got their, their shit together.
Poop in a row. Poop in a group.
And that nobody's going through anything tough. But the truth is behind the scenes, right? Like for you, behind the scenes, this was all that you were dealing with. Although on the outside, you were wearing the mask, like me too, wearing the masks and wearing the smile, and everyone looked like, oh, she's got her stuff together.
Yeah. People were shocked when I had the breakdown and left Big Pharma. And they're like, what are you doing? But it was like, I can't do that anymore. Like that. Oh, I'm getting chills just saying it. That was living out of alignment, and it did not bring me joy. And money's not everything. So I had to have that breakdown because there's no way I would have left that career if I hadn't had my mental breakdown. And my mental breakdown was my blessed breakthrough. It was the best thing that could have happened. I was actually bullied corporately. I attracted another bully socially. I went to a dark place mentally. That was the best thing that could have happened, because if I hadn't had that situation happen, you know where I'd still be working right now? Big Pharma. So I am super grateful for the broken road that led me to where I am now.
Yeah, beautiful. And do you find that a lot of your clients need to have that like crossroad moment that, that's brought by a death or a loss or?
Oftentimes, yes. That's what causes a shift in our beingness. Oftentimes, a death of a parent or a job loss, or like being bullied at work and nobody talking to you anymore and being, persona non grata. Like that's harsh, especially for a former people pleaser like me. I used to need outer validation, like I needed oxygen. And the fact that everybody hated me, oh my God, my life was hell for 2 solid years. I barely got out of bed just to feed my child and get him off to school. And I'd go back to bed. Like it was a horrible life. And, but it's exactly what was meant to happen, because I reached a breaking point where I said, nope, I can't live like this anymore. And I said to my higher power, give me a way out of my hell. That's not any of these things I've already done, because I'd done a lot of personal development at that point. I'd done Tony Robbins, landmark education. I'd been Catholic my whole life. I'd had therapy. Different things worked at different times. But when I hit my rock bottom, Teresa, none of them worked anymore. Because I was meant to hit a point where I literally said, give me a way out. That's none of these things I've done. or give me a way of killing myself. That's rock bottom.
Yeah.
That is surrender. And that is when you either die or you evolve. And guess what I did? So now I was told this modality that saved you. I literally was downloaded it. Like spirit just gave it to me, first in big chunks and then little, like it just, I'm downloading all the time. I channel, I receive messages, very intuitive, just as you are. Everybody has intuition. It's whether we choose to tap into it or not. So I received all these downloads and I was told, when my mental health cleared up quickly and naturally, like no drugs, no therapy, what else did I try? I had done all those things, but what helped me, and this is why I had to live out of alignment in big pharma. And then before that, cancer research, I was meant to live through Western medicine because the breakdown allowed me to have a breakthrough that was more spiritual. It was a spiritual breakthrough and it was natural. So I call it a holistic solution, WHOLISTC, solution, SOULUTION. It wasn't Western medicine. It wasn't like standard care for mental health. So this is an alternative way of feeling better and happier. And yeah, you don't have to take drugs. So I was a drug rep. I knew what drugs did to my body. No disrespect to anybody who takes drugs for their mental health. If it works for you, that's fantastic. For me, it wasn't going to be an option because I knew too much about drugs. Also, my dad lived out of alignment and he too got bullied at work in his 50s and he had nervous breakdown. He had to go on lorazepam for the rest of his life, a very strong anti-anxiety drug. So I saw what drugs did to him and I'm like, no. My story's not going to end like my dad's. So this is why when I got this modality gifted to me and it saved my sanity, no more panic attacks, no more depression, no more bipolar, no more eating disorders. Like my marriage went from hell on wheels to heaven on earth because I was no longer living from ego, nearly killed my marriage 3 different times. I kid you not. When all of these things happened and then I had the courage to become a pro jazz artist at 51, which is connected to my story if I have time to share that. I was told it's not just for you. It's for you to share with the world. It's a new modality. And so I'm like, how the hell do I do that? Right. So I created an online course and so people learned it in 3 hours online. And that's a great course. But then 2 amazing women stepped forward when COVID hit and they said to me, shout out to them, Eleanor Hayward, Jennifer Hawkins. And they said, Elvira, we don't know when we're going to work again because COVID. One's a massage therapist, one's a hairdresser. And your modality saved our lives too, because they did the course. And we believe it's our duty to share it with the world. And I remember crying, Teresa, and saying, oh my God, this is how it gets shared with the world, not through me, through them. And what did they do? They picked up the pearls that I dropped in this course over 3 hours. They put their own little spacer beads on it. And they made this beautiful, beautiful necklace that now almost every person that goes through the 6-month program they created actually wants to become a facilitator of this work. So that's how my team is growing and it's all backed by science, which is really interesting. Even though it is spiritual, I have a dear friend, his name is Dr. Larry Farwell. He's a Harvard trained neuroscientist and he wrote the book, The Science of Creating Miracles. And he said to me, Elvira, that modality that you channeled at rock bottom, it's actually backed up by science. I've proven it works because neuroplasticity shows us that when we start thinking and behaving in different ways, we actually rewire our brain, right? You know all about that because you do the same. So this is what's possible. And, so you have to hit that point where you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, where you just can't do this anymore. And that's when you'll either check out, maybe become an alcoholic or, end up like in a mental hospital or whatever. There's lots of awful ways you can end up, or you can evolve. And you don't have to do it by yourself. This is why there's people like us around, right? You don't have to go this journey by yourself. Lock arms with someone who's been there and can teach you how you can do it too. You don't have to hit a breakdown completely. Like I literally was ready to die, but I'm also the founder of this movement, the Miracle Magnet movement that states all modalities matter. Mine's just one that can help people, but there's a lot of non-Western medicine modalities. There's a lot of holistic solutions out there. So my team use my platform to not only help people with my modality, they put their own modalities there too. Because I like to say, Teresa, there's over 8 billion people on the planet, and there's over 8 billion ways to love your vibe and be a miracle magnet. You get to choose what works for you. What keeps Teresa in alignment with her highest self, her highest power, her highest purpose? That's what you need to do. And so everybody has a different miracle mix, right? We're all snowflakes. We all have a unique blueprint. So I'm a huge advocate for, just getting on that road, deciding you're better than your situation, and being sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. Well, mine's just one modality. I have many others that are on my platform that you can look at as well. My team are incredible, heart-centered humans that just want to help make a better world. We believe when enough of us people, heart-centered people especially, because we've been to dark times, especially over COVID, when enough of us have done this inner work in whatever way resonates with us, we will reveal heaven on earth. And that is because when people become fully themselves, aligned, authentic, fully self-expressed, it is going to be heaven on earth. We're going to be doing the thing we were brought here to do. We're not going to be hiding as imposters, as I was for so many years. We're doing what we were brought here to do, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Now, if somebody isn't, as you said, it doesn't take you reaching rock bottom in order to break open, right? So that we can break through.
Yeah.
It seems like in that moment, like, when you said that, I visualized, Humpty Dumpty there and this egg falling over, right? And then like cracking, and then you're broken open for almost like the light to come in, that you're in all this darkness.
Yeah.
And now you've broken
great visual. Yeah.
broken open so that now you can have that breakthrough as you were talking about. I'm one of those people that can learn through other people's mistakes.
Exactly.
Some people are like, no, I can do it. It'll be different for me.
And that's ego.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, you tell me all the hard things that you've been through because I don't need to go through them.
Right. That's why people have mentors and coaches. Exactly. Yes.
So you tell me your story so I can just avoid all of that.
Exactly.
So if somebody is, so they're therefore not at that point.
Yeah.
But what are some of those? So when you say that you have programs that basically help people at whatever stage they're at.
Yeah.
And I know that we, as an educator, we are not taught these things in school.
Yeah.
And that, because I don't teach them and I wasn't taught, and we don't talk about these things in our social circles because again, everything looks perfect on the outside, which I think is just,
that's ego.
it's way worse now than it ever was when we were younger too, right? Because now we can see what everybody's doing on social media.
All the highlight reels, all the fake, all the ego. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so if you have solutions for different entry points, let's say. What are some of the other things that might indicate to someone that they're not living, the fullest expression of themselves? So I loved all the examples you shared because those are all pertinent. But are there like more subtle things that if somebody's listening and they're like, oh, that doesn't apply to me, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, maybe
go a little deeper. I would look at your relationships, right? Because we need to create a relationship with ourselves where we honor ourselves, we have good boundaries, and we're able to be truly us. If we're living out of alignment and we're just putting on the big smile and the ego mask, and our relationships are like, like maybe, with your husband, like things aren't good. Maybe you're having an affair, that's one indicator because you're not happy and you just think someone can make me happy. You're looking for outer validation. I used to need outer validation like I needed oxygen, right? So there's one key indicator there. Because really, like either be happy in the relationship you're in or get out. Like, don't be doing stuff like that, right? Like I'm an advocate for that, right? So that's just one indicator. Other things like maybe you're fighting with your kids and they're going to smoke dope or whatever just to get out of, your face, and I mean, you need to be the person that is truly you. And that is when compassion comes out. That is when you don't judge yourself. You don't judge others. Relationships are better, right? So, just a few, there's so many different, key indicators, but I think relationships are if your relationships are struggling, if you're showing up and like, let's say for women, typically, they can take each other down. They can be the mean girls. They can criticize other women because they haven't done their own inner work. They don't love themselves. So therefore, someone that maybe does love themselves is someone they're going to criticize. They're going to judge. I get judged all the time. I'm the most joyful person on the planet, and that triggers a lot of people that aren't there.
Yeah.
So look at your triggers, look at, what activates you and say, you know what, I'm better than this. I deserve better than this. And so, because different people, have different reasons for getting on that, I call it the yellow brick road, just, getting conscious, doing inner work. Right.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you don't have to hit like Humpty Dumpty falling on the ground, right? Like I did. You can learn from the right people, the right modalities. I know you have a beautiful modality too that you facilitate. Just have the conversation. Say, I'm curious, I mean, if you want to reach out to me, I'm available. I think you're going to have my information on the show notes. Just going to drop that there.
So I've heard you use, the words miracle and magnets. So I'm kind of curious as to, what's that all about and what does it mean? Because we think sometimes that miracles are beyond us, right? But meanwhile, we know that even the smallest thing could be considered miracles as well. But how do we become a magnet
for miracles?
Yeah.
Great question. Oh my God. You're asking such great questions. I love this. So first of all, I think it was Albert Einstein that said, you can look at everything as though, I'm going to say this wrong, but it's something like you can look at things as though there's no miracles, or you can look at life as though everything's a miracle, right? So it's your choice. It's how do you choose to see the glass half empty, the glass half full, right? And so it's just a question of flipping your mindset. Like I used to be living out of alignment. Ego ran my show. I was a victim. I was a victim of everything. Okay. Why are you so mean to me? And why aren't you nice? And can't you see I'm a nice person? And, and so that is called, living out of alignment. And you're not a miracle magnet in that state. You are what I call a crap magnet. And that was me for most of my life. I attracted crappy thing after crappy thing because of my mindset, what's going on in here. And then when I had the breakdown and breakthrough, I started applying the teachings and tools that were gifted to me divinely from whatever you believe is up there that's taking care of all of us. And all of a sudden, amazing things are happening. And I'm not actually looking for those things. They're finding me. Like becoming a jazz artist at 51 just kind of fell on my lap. Now I'm a multi-award winning jazz artist. I won Best Band in Mississauga twice in the last 3 years. I have wowed Oprah Winfrey's man, Stedman Graham, on stage singing to him. And it's all on YouTube if you want to check it out. Just Google Stedman Graham, Elvira Hopper. I sang at the my second jazz duo, not this one, my other one. We sang at the Mayor Bonnie Crombie's 60th birthday party before COVID hit. And now, she left the mayor position, but she went on to other things. So, but anyways, the whole thing is that, she invited me and my partner. That's a miracle because she knew like people in Mississauga who were musicians way better than she knew us. And yet we were invited. So you vibrate at a different level. Everything is energy, right?
Yeah.
So when you're a miracle magnet, you just show up aligned, authentic, fully self-expressed. You get these opportunities. You get these awards. And when you serve with your gifts, I'm a jazz artist, but it's not about me. There was a time when I used to sing and I'd get off the stage, and if people didn't rush me and tell me I was fabulous, I would feel I failed, right? I used to need that outer validation. When you shift from crap magnet to miracle magnet, you realize this gift is in me for a reason. I have to do it, and it's not about me. And you go from ego to service, right? Ego to essence, who you truly are. That's when people pick up on your vibration. That's when they invite you to different whatever, I want to hire you. I want you on my album. I want to give you this gig. I want to give you this award. Like those are miracles. And you attract those miracles, right? Like I'll never forget at Mayor Bonnie Crombie's birthday, I closed down my show. And a woman who was invited, who actually has a star on the Mississauga Walk of Fame, which is interesting. She wasn't invited to sing. My band was, right? So this is where ego can really take us out of our game. And she comes up at the end, and my partner Mark had packed away his guitar, and and I was basically starting to chat with people, and she comes up to me and she said, "Bonnie told me I could do a song." And she goes up to the mic and she grabs my mic, tells my partner to take his guitar out. And she starts singing the song that I just did 2 songs before.
No.
It's the song that she fell in love with us over, A Wonderful World, right? I see trees of green, right? That song. And so she starts singing it. And she had to close the show. Her ego could not handle that she was not invited to be the artist that night. So I was like in shock when I saw this. And at first I was angry. And then the next day I said, oh my God, that poor woman, that's all she knows how to do. And she could not fathom that she was not chosen. And therefore she had to finish the show. Yeah. That's ego.
Yeah.
Right. So I sing from a space of service. I don't really care what you think I sound like. I'm doing my thing because it's my thing to do. Right. If I sound like crap at Jazz Bistro, where I recorded this album live one night, and I hit a wrong note and I sound like crap, guess what? Somebody in the audience is meant to hear me and go, she started doing this professionally at 51. She's not even that good. I'm going to go do my thing too. That is what I want to do. I want to activate people to go do their thing. I don't need to be the best. I'm far from the best. This album is full of mistakes, but there's so much joy on this album. I believe people prefer real over perfect. And I believe that if artists had the courage to be real over being perfect, we'd be a little closer to heaven on earth. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree that, if we think about the law of attraction, right, that the energy that we give out or the signal that we're sending out, we're also a magnet for that of that same signal. So as we continue to do the work, and I want to be specific about that inner work, because you use that word, and oftentimes we're doing the outer work.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing the courses and
losing the weight and going to the gym and
right. All those outer things
Yeah.
that we think that that's how we're going to achieve the happiness that we're looking for, right?
Outer validation.
Yes.
Yeah.
That when, like you said, you lose those 10 pounds and then I'll be happy. I find that perfect person that, I'll get that promotion at work. We're doing all of the things.
Yeah.
And yet we're not reaping the results that we actually want, because there's this whole other world inside of us that also requires that attention and that work.
Yeah.
And so, when you talk about the ego, and the ego is something that I think, we know philosophers from the beginning of time and researchers and scientists that have tried to define what the ego is. So I would love for you to maybe define it according to how you use the word, and how you think that it affects us showing up as our authentic self.
Yes.
So if you could talk about that.
So a lot of philosophers and, the, so-called gurus over the years have explained what the ego is. I believe the ego is just there to protect us, right? The ego was activated when we were a little kid and we did something that wasn't good and we got scolded for it perhaps, and then we were like, okay, never going to let that happen again. So, for example, me as a little kid, I was the people pleaser, right? Because I lived out of alignment and, I wasn't allowed to be me. And I remember, putting on the big smile to make my mom happy, because she had depression, she had OCD, she was not a happy person, right? So I put on the big smile. My ego said, smile so your mom's happy, right? So that's just one, that's my protection, is just putting on the big smile and being fake. Well, today my smile is real, but for many years it was not, right? But there's other ways people show up, like, they have power over, someone and because, you know, they just had to be, you know, might is right, you know? And so that's their ego, the bully, right? You know, having, and then there's people that show up in victim energy. Oh, don't be mean to me. Take care of me. That was my ego as well showing up, right? So there's all these different inauthentic ways that we show up to protect ourselves. And that's the ego to me. And there's also a really great quote, not quote, but it's Dr. Wayne Dyer, God rest his soul, amazing guy. And he said, ego, edging God out. So when you don't live in alignment with your highest self, your God self, you will be a crap magnet. You're not going to attract good things. And maybe you'll look shiny and nobody knows what's going on, but you know what's going on, right? So the ego needs to sit in the back seat. This is how I explain it to my clients and my audiences. You in spirit, whatever you believe in, spirit, source, God, universe, you in spirit drive drive the bus or drive the car. And ego is the little kid that gets to be strapped in the baby seat and just goes along for the ride. You know, some people say, crush the ego, kill the ego. No. The ego will come up to protect you sometimes, and you need the ego, but don't let it drive the car. Because if the little 3-year-old was driving the car, you know what would happen? We'd, be, popping into trees and buses and buildings, right? So ego cannot drive the car. You and spirit need to drive your car, right? And everybody, the same thing. And so when we keep God in the picture, because spirit, God, spirit source, is with you, then amazing things happen. You become a miracle magnet. Like literally every single day, me and spirit are the A team. We're working together, right?
And for those people who might be listening and maybe feeling uncomfortable with us talking about that spiritual element, which I think it's essential. I'm actually, my PhD thesis is actually.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Is actually designed to prove exactly how essential our
Are you a
spirituality.
doctor yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, yay. Okay. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Dr. Teresa Greco. I love it.
Thank you.
Has a nice ring.
Thank you. We're working on it. And so, if people are like, well, I don't know God, and, for whatever, reasons why maybe they've pulled away or maybe they just grew up without any of that influence, right?
Exactly.
How else do you think that it does show up within us, right? So I think that higher or inner being or that higher self is a small voice inside of us that perhaps when you start practicing it and listening to it and choosing it instead of the mind that might rationalize out of situations, right? So the mind might say, well, I'm going to continue working in this workplace that actually isn't serving me and I'm getting bullied and my manager is disrespecting me. But you think, it's okay. Exactly. I'm making money and it's paying for this and
benefits,
it's paying for
all of that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But your inner being is saying, no, right? I can't go there. People are dishonoring me. I feel terrible about myself. But the rational mind always says, well, no, it's okay, right? Or different relationships are in the same thing. Oh, I've known her for a long time. Yeah. So it's okay. We've been friends since like elementary school. Yeah. But yet, she's just having, we rationalize again. She's just having a bad day. And meanwhile, she's like stepping on top of you, not supporting or lifting you up as a good friend should, right?
I have a great story for that. Yeah.
So how do we start to listen to that little inner voice, and how important is that inner voice when we're trying to, judge whether are we living in ego or whether we're living in our true self?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, great question. Oh my God, your questions are fantastic. So what I want to say about that is that at first, that little still small voice within is very quiet. Right? Oprah talks about this, right? It whispers, right? And the voice of your ego in your head is like so loud and it's leading the way, right? But as we do the practices, right? As we get into things like meditation, perhaps breath work, perhaps journaling, right? And we get to know what our voice is really saying, then it's like, oh, I'm getting chills as I say that. Then it gets louder. It's like, okay, it's safe to come out and it gets louder and louder. And now that inner voice to me is louder than the voice in my head. So that's what I'm led by. So it's a practice, right? But there was a time when I didn't listen to it, and I was in big pharma and I was making tons of money. And I'm like, I'm not happy, but how the hell could I leave? I'm making six figures. I've got the company car. They pay for my gas. They pay for my lunch. Like, where else am I going to go for this? Right.
Yeah.
So you get stuck in a rut, right? And you pretend everything's okay because you don't want people to worry. And the ego has you put on a big smile, and you're this people pleaser. And well, I was anyway. And life sucked. It totally sucked, but then I was able to escape through this modality. And then when I became a jazz artist at 51, my two best friends of almost 40 years each, they could not see me. They thought I was crazy for leaving big pharma, because they didn't really know I put on the big smile. They didn't even know I was struggling with depression. My two best friends didn't even know that. Right. And so now they've seen me leave, and they see that I'm happy, and they're like they were so used to me being a crap magnet. They were always fixing my problems. And now I remember one of them saying to me when I was happy and I left and I became a coach, and she goes, I don't know what to do for you anymore. And I said, what? How about you just love me, right? She was so used to being in her masculine mode where she was fixing my problems all the time, right? So when I became fully me, it's like it just changed the dynamic, right? They didn't know what to do with me. These two lovely women, I still love them to this day, but I love them from a safe distance because they're not in my life anymore. Because here's what happened when I became a pro jazz artist and I recorded my jazz album again at Jazz Bistro. One of them didn't show up for my for my CD launch. The other one showed up and talked to my mother the whole time. I triggered them. You know why I triggered them? Because they were the musicians. They never did anything with their music. Seeing me on stage, they're like, who the hell is she to do that? Yeah. So guess what? I did not feel safe, seen, celebrated, or supported with these women in my life. So I had to learn how to love them from a safe distance. And I teach you how to do that free on my website. If you go to elvirahopper.com, just download the 4 circles of personal power. You can learn how to do that too. There's people in your life that are sucking your energy and they're not validating. Not that I needed outer validation, but because I validated myself, but at the same time, they tried to undermine me. They kind of told people she's crazy. Like they talked together and they're like, we're worried about her, So it's like they weren't able to, and maybe one day they will, who knows? They weren't able to get aligned, authentic, fully self-expressed. They're working, like most people, they're working jobs, they're taking care of their family. They're lovely women. If one ever needs a kidney, I'll be the first one in the hospital to see if I'm a match. I still love them. They're just not in my inner circle because I do not feel that they deserve to be in my inner circle. They used to be. When I was a crap magnet, they were totally in my inner circle. Now that I'm a miracle magnet, I only keep certain people in my inner circle. And so they're in my far outer circle. And this is what I teach, right? Far outer circle, FOC, I focked them with love and light. So this is where we can put people in our life that don't truly, align with us. And in my family, there's a lot of people in my far outer circle because I can't expect them to understand me and to understand my journey. So I just love them from a safe distance, right? And I keep the right people on the inside. And my life is amazing. And I've attracted so many incredible people. I have this beautiful team of people that facilitate this work, and we're in each other's inner circles. And honestly, life is heaven on earth for me right now. I just want to share that with the rest of the world.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for kind of ending that story with that, living that heaven on earth, because I think it's possible.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
That we don't have to die.
No.
Get there.
Heaven on earth is here.
Yeah, it's here. That's
Tap into that mindset.
Yeah.
Miracle mindset.
That's the truth. That's the truth. So what are, to leave the audience with maybe, so thank you so much for sharing all the different tools that you have available, right? That people
just
can
a few of them. There's lots more. Yeah.
And so what would you say are the ones that if when you meet someone that's not happy, if you were to give them a little giveaway bag and to say, these would be my top, my top tools that I think that, these things would definitely change your life. And maybe it's, in this free program that you even just mentioned, but what are those things that you think people should be doing on a regular basis to be able to always reconnecting with that with their essence,
Yeah.
with their authentic self. Like, because I feel like the world pulls us away.
Yeah.
That every morning I wake up happy. You know, we've gone to sleep, and I believe I return home to who I really, and then wake up, and there are things that pull us away quickly. Many people right away, they go onto their cell phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
So
like
bad.
so
So
bad,
bad.
right? It's like, I listen to so many different speakers too that do this work, and it's always like, don't reach for your phone, right? Don't reach. So I'm going
Keep
to
it out of your bedroom. Yeah.
I'm going to reiterate that.
Yeah.
Don't reach for that, right?
Yeah.
And that if you can implement some practices very early on in your day, that can help you to align and then stay aligned, right? Because I think when we first wake up, we're aligned, but then people watch the news and they go on their cell phone, and then like different things, the weather's not the best that day. Like a lot of things can start to immediately pull us away.
Yeah.
So I think that it's so important for us to know what are those core things, those things that we should do on an everyday basis, so that when stuff happens, I don't know, I feel like it just boomerangs off me now. It's just like boing, boing. And then people say, Teresa,
that's what the inner work does.
And it's like, Teresa, did you not see what that person said to you? And I'm like,
whatever.
I don't know. I'm like,
same,
kind of like
same
happiness cloud, and I'm just going around, and I'm just like, I don't know, like oblivious or something. But I'm telling you, this is what like the work does. That things are happening, and you've
got the tools that you need to get back into your zone. That's
exactly, right. So that you realize that all of these things are outside of your control. Yeah. Like when I see it, I'm like, oh, that's a you problem, or that's a he problem, or it's like not a me problem to solve today.
Not my circus. What is it? Not my circus, not my monkeys. I think that's a Polish saying. Yeah, exactly.
Like
you don't get dragged into drama anymore, right?
No. It doesn't find me at all. Like, so that's a good thing. But still, we really don't live in a bubble. Yeah. So, there are things, but this bubble is literally like the boomerangs just go bing, 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 like that. So what would you say is that, essential toolkit to help us to
Well, I have a program. I have a way in which you can do it. It's under $300 Canadian just to learn the tools. And then you can choose to work with one of my mentors if you really want it to affect your neuroplasticity, and you can transform, because once you start thinking and behaving in a different way over 6 months, it actually rewires your brain. So you can go from being a crap magnet into being a miracle magnet. And I have them, but just to name a few, just off the top of my head, you definitely have to have a morning practice. You have to have a practice where you are reminding yourself of who you truly are. So you're reading something that's spiritual, because we are not like, what's the way they describe it? We are spirits in these meat suits called Teresa and Elvira, right? We're not these bodies with a soul. We're a soul with a body. Right. So when you connect every morning to that fact that you are a spirit in this body, and you have a purpose, and your purpose, I believe, is bigger than you. And Oprah says it really well when she says our purpose is to connect with our purpose and to humbly serve the world with it. So if we can start the day realizing that we are spirit in these meat suits and that our purpose is bigger than us, then we take action on things that we know are going to keep us connected to that. So definitely reading, like something like, Wayne Dyer, I just mentioned him, Marianne Williamson. There's so many amazing women,
Joe Dispenza.
There's so many great writers that keep us connected to our heart and soul. Name of my jazz band, Heart and Soul, by the way. And then I recommend a meditation practice. That's where we quiet our mind so we can listen to our heart and soul. And that is something that is hard at first, but just start small. 1 minute a day, up it to 2 minutes. 3 minutes. And then as you do it more and more, you're going to start hearing the voice of your heart and soul get louder and louder. And when you live from that place, that's when you make good decisions. That's when you make good choices. And that's where I coach from. I get my clients into that zone where they listen to what's inside, and then I ask them questions, and then they have the answers all inside them, but then they activate those answers and they put them into action. And that's when miracles find them, right? So this is what I do with my clients. I love it. It's not work. It's my purpose. So those are two. So reading, meditation, and also journaling. you know, get into the habit of journaling, whatever's on your mind, just free thought, just, you know, I'm really pissed off right now because somebody did that and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, just whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And then just like, wow, you know, maybe that's a them problem. It's not a me problem. You get to look at what's going on in your head. Right. So, I mean, those are just a few of the tools that I recommend. Yeah.
Yeah. Journaling is, I think, and used in that way too, because sometimes I'll just journal what's coming through, right? So when I'm sitting in that space and I'm like, oh, you know, these are some of the things that I'm working towards. And then I'm sitting in that place listening for direction, right? And then just writing some of that down.
Yeah.
But I know for some people, it's hard for them even to fall asleep at night because it's like your
monkey mind,
right?
Yeah.
And it's going through all the things that happened and all the things you have to do tomorrow. And sleep, I think, is one of those very, like, it's essential. It's like breathing.
Yeah.
So that's how important sleep is to our well-being, like, and well-being of all aspects of ourselves.
Yeah.
And as an educator, you don't know, and I've been teaching almost 30 years, how many kids I work with that are all tired.
Yeah.
And the kids were always the energizer bunnies. Like, they were always the ones that you're like, where do you have all this energy? Like, insane.
Yeah.
No, they're
not
all,
today.
No, they're all
And why
tired.
is that, Teresa?
Because many of them are on devices and not getting the sleep. That the devices are in their bedrooms. So they're gaming, they're on their phones till like wee hours. Because I say, why are you tired? Why are you tired? I said, are you on your device? Yeah. So there's no boundaries being set between like technology and ourselves. Like, I think that when we think about boundaries, oftentimes we think it's between like us and certain people.
Right.
But it's also between like us and certain
activities
people on our phones, right? Or on our gaming systems to say, it's very interesting how we're in a time where we're more connected than ever, but actually more disconnected from ourselves.
Yeah. I just got chills when you said that. Yeah.
More than ever before. So we
It's
think
so
that like, yeah, sure, the kids are gaming and they're playing with this person and that person, or they're on their phone and they're checking. But when we're on, so I've looked into some of the research around how is that activity actually contributing to our mental illness.
Yeah.
And the part that is the most like the kind of the link between all of them is that comparison part.
Yes.
That comparison, we don't go on the devices to compare ourselves, but yet there's something inside us that gets activated where all of a sudden we start saying, oh, wow, like, do I look like that? Oh, do I have those things? Oh, am I doing that? Am I eating here? Am I dressing like that? All of a sudden, all these things come in and start to influence. But nevertheless, and they're also designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
So like the algorithms are all
they're designed that way.
Yeah, it's insane, right? How much psychology goes into like the way that they set up these
dopamine hits. People need dopamine hits. Yeah.
And so it's keeping people up, and not just kids, like adults too, right? They're on that for hours at a time, doom scrolling, right?
Doom scrolling.
And therefore aren't getting the sleep that they need to be able to like do school, to do work, to do life. And people are road raging and getting into like arguments. Like, I feel like people are going around like pressure cookers.
Yes.
Like, we're the smallest thing. It's like, poof.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
right. Yeah. That used to be me. That used to be me.
Really?
I was a rageaholic back then because I would just put on the big smile, put on, you know, and then I would just blow. Yeah. And it's what I learned at home. My mother was the same, you know.
Right. But
there's other ways of being.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore.
And the sleep, I think, is one of those, like, if you even look into a lot of the illnesses, what are some of the treatments? And the sleep is always like one of those key elements. So I don't know if it's something that you really, when we think about loving the body, right? Loving and honoring the body.
Yeah. Well, I love that you mentioned that because, like I said, all modalities matter, right? The Miracle Magnet movement states all modalities matter. So there's people that are huge advocates for that. And if that's something you need to apply to your life, then absolutely, you know, find Teresa and work with her because she's going to help you to get your your sleep right. Like I'm actually working with an amazing health coach, Renee, and she is huge advocate for good sleep. And so I know I can do better. And so you've got to go to the modalities that are addressing the things that you're dealing with, right? So that's a really important one, Teresa. I'm really glad you brought that up. Renee Roberts. Sorry, I was trying to think of her last name. She's awesome. Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was one of the tools in the kit at all.
But all the tools that you need are in there, right? So I teach you in my 3-hour course, there's 3 different categories. There's extreme self-care, and then there's spirituality, and then there's creativity. Those were the 3 pillars that were shown to me that helped me shift from crap magnet to miracle magnet. And so whatever modalities keep you in alignment in those 3 areas, keep you in a higher vibration, if sleep is one of those things, then yes, it's in there, right? So you get to create that. It's like a blueprint. You create it yourself. What is it that Teresa needs to live in alignment with her highest self, her highest power, her highest purpose? And that's what she needs to do. Clearly, sleep needs to be there for you. I haven't put it on mine, but maybe I should, because I think I could sleep better. But it's funny, like even when I don't sleep that well, I'm making up for it in other areas, so I can still show up kind of fresh, even though like last night I went to bed late, and hopefully I don't look like crap right now, but I do enough good stuff. I'm loving my vibe with enough things that I think if you look at the bank account, it's more on the higher side, So you've got to figure out, what does your, whole living look like, and it's not about, being perfect. It's about being real, and just put into your miracle mix what you need to live your best life.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if people would like to get a hold of you after the show, find out more about, some of the things that you've talked about, how can they do that?
So I would go to elvirahopper.com/linktree. And that is where I have all sorts of freebies and my courses there as well that I just mentioned. And there's also a little 15-minute chat with me if you're serious about doing this work and you want to know what that looks like. Talk to me, and I'd love to be able to help you learn and discern if this is right for you. And there's also some podcasts in there that I've hosted and YouTube shows. So there's a whole bunch of content if you want to learn more about it and just stalk me for a while before you talk to me. See if you vibe with the vibe of the mission of revealing heaven on earth and being a miracle magnet. It's not for everybody, for sure, but if it's for you, it's going to transform your life. So I would recommend going to elvirahopper.com/linktree.
Thank you. And if somebody wants to hear more of your music.
Oh, my music
that you've talked about.
Do you know what's funny? I think I'm bad. I'm really bad at this. I have a YouTube channel that has a lot of my songs with my first band, not my second band. And I don't do much with my YouTube channel. I know I need to be. So they could probably just find me on YouTube and check out my music that way. So yeah,
I would love to. I haven't listened to anything.
Oh, really?
Them, so
cool,
I would love to find that. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my God. Would you want to hear me sing right now?
Okay, sure. A little jingle?
Yeah, well, I have a few jingles, but the one I'd like to share is for my highest level coaching program. So if you're somebody who is struggling and you know that, oh my God, what she's saying makes sense, and you're willing to, do something about it because you're high net worth individual and you're living out of alignment and you refuse to die with your real music in you, like my dad did, right? I was 11 years old and I was told, you can't be on stage because women on stages are sluts. That's when I was shut down and I was told, I said, okay, Daddy, I'm not allowed to be who I want to be. Who do you need me to be so you will love me? That's when living out of alignment started. That's when imposterhood started. That's when people pleasing started. That's when I chose not one, but 2 solid healthcare careers. And the reason he told me that is because that's what he was told. He wasn't allowed to be fully himself. Sadly, 13 years ago, he died with his real music still in him. He died with 2 types of cancer, Teresa, a marriage in shambles, on meds for his mental health stuff. He was a shell of himself when he died because I believe his body kept score and knew he was living out of alignment. There's a great book called Your Body Keeps Score, and our body is really smart. It knows when we're living out of alignment. So that's sadly what happened to my dad. And I was going down that same route and I was bullied and I had a target on my back. We both did. But I was able to, say, no, I don't want to feel like this anymore. Hit rock bottom, got a way out, recorded my first jazz album in my mid-50s. And so, does he think I'm a slut from heaven? I don't think so. I really feel that he's proud of me. But it was having the courage to go do the thing that you were told you couldn't do, you know? So I just invite people to think about what's still in them to do, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So my program's called All of You. So for these people that are up here and other people as well, you don't have to be part of you. You get to be all of you, right? And here's my little song that goes along with it. A 1, a 2. A 1, 2, 3. All of you. Why not be all of you? Can't you see the world's no good without you? Be every part that lights up your heart. And why not be all of you? Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you. And it's like giving permission to
be
people.
all of
yeah.
you. Yes. That's what I
right?
want to do.
Yeah, it's
Be all of you.
beautiful. And I feel like we don't have enough cheerleaders on this planet that
I used to be a pro
right?
cheerleader, by the way. I got bullied by the mean girl in the cheerleader squad, but that's another story. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That advocate for us
Yes.
and lift us up and cheerleader and say
Yes.
like, yeah, you can be
Totally.
all of you. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
I'm nobody special. Who am I? I'm literally somebody who's ready to die, but I wasn't meant to die. I was meant to evolve and show others they can do it too. So thank you for bringing me on your show. This was so fun. You're
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me on the Happy Hour. If you like the show, please like and subscribe. If you want to learn more about me, feel free to check out my website at teresagreco.ca or connect with me on social media, Teresa Greco _steps to happiness or steps to happiness with Teresa Greco.